Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the No Silicast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, and this is show number 1063. Well, since you're getting the show a full 4 days early, that is a little hint that we will not be in town on Sunday, so there will not be a live show this week. I will, of course, miss the silliness and camaraderie of the live audience, but we'll be back next Sunday to play with you all. Now, this show is a little bit different from most. We have plenty of content, but it's in just two sections. First, you'll hear me asking Bart questions about how the new camera systems in the iPhone 17 Pro work. I'm very confused about this, but I'm not confused when he's done explaining it. Then we have a guest back on to chit-chat with me who you haven't heard from in a very long time. He's going to talk about creative video conferencing tech solutions with open source. Let's dig in. Well, I've asked Bart to come on to try to explain cameras on iPhones to me. And I've got a bunch of very organized notes, and I'm looking for the math to work to explain all of this to me. And so Bart is going to completely answer every single one of my questions he promised, right?
I'm not sure all of your questions have a precise answer. So I had already said to you earlier that at least part of this problem is that Apple are using marketing terms like fusion camera, whose precise definition is wishy-washy. And they're using vague terms like optical quality. That's not scientific. I think I know what they mean, but it's not defined. And then while I was cycling, I had another epiphany. I don't know if Apple can answer your questions even if someone took away the veil of secrecy, because this stuff is machine learning all the way down. So they have given their camera system 3 core abilities that I definitely want to talk about. But exactly which one or more of those 3 gets applied in a specific situation is chosen by machine learning. Okay. So they've trained their model to do the best thing, but they don't know why. They just know the pictures look good.
But I want to back out. I want to back out to a bigger picture. Is like, if I look on the back of my phone, there are 3 little holes that light goes in. To start with, I don't even know what to call those. Are those lenses? Are those cameras? Or should we just call them holes?
They're cameras. They're full cameras. And I'll tell you why I say they're full cameras. Because they have a lens and a sensor. So every hole...
Every hole has a lens and a sensor.
Yeah, so that's a camera.
Good. Okay.
But so you have one camera button, right? So you have a camera app that tells you have one amazing camera. Or 2 if you include the little toggle to switch to the front camera. So there's...
Right. But when you open the camera on the iPhone 17 Pro... that has 3 cameras, we've just said.
Mm-hmm.
It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versions of that camera. So trying to figure out how 3 cameras turn into 8 things is problematic at best. And it folds into a whole bunch of questions.
Right.
So I've made a bunch of tables.
Right. Because your tables are cool and they capture the facts, and I want people to know that you're going to have detailed show notes.
Okay, but I want you to look at. You haven't seen one of my tables because I just pushed it this morning. I swore I did it yesterday. If you look in my jumbled show notes, that's yet another table. It's 16 Pro versus 17 Pro, and I think this one starts to help narrow down what my question and my problems are. So the new iPhone 17 Pro has 3 48 megapixel cameras. Sensors.
Yes. Well,
sensors.
No, they're right. If we say that a camera is a lens plus a sensor, then that is a true fact.
Okay. True fact. Okay. We just like to get Jill to write to us. And the 16 Pro had 2 48 megapixel cameras and a 12 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
And what I looked at was, I did a comparison chart of the 16 Pro versus 17 Pro for some of these different versions of things. So the ultra wide on both cameras is 48 megapixels. All right, the main is 48 megapixels on both of them. The telephoto 2X is 12 megapixels on both of them. when you get out to the 4X and the 5X, so the 17 Pro has a 4X and it's still 48 megapixels.
Yeah.
But the 5X on the iPhone 16 Pro is 12 megapixels. That seems significant. But when you go out to the 8X on the 17 Pro, that's 12 megapixels. So part of where I want to get to in this is the 5X on the 16 Pro takes terrible pictures. We've talked about it.
Right.
We've talked about whether it's because of low light, but I've got a photo of a butterfly at 5X in brilliant California sunshine, and it still looks poopy. It looks very crunchy. So part of what I'm wondering is the 8X going to also be poopy because it's 12X? I don't know. Now I've got my questions out. Now you can start to narrow me down here.
So physically speaking, both of them have 3 holes, and you have more than 3 numbers in each of these columns. So one of the really big differences is that, so the ultra-wide camera is the same on both of them, 48 megapixel shiny pants camera. The main is the same on both of them, 48 megapixels shiny camera. The difference is that third hole. So on the iPhone 16, that's a 12 megapixel sensor behind that piece of glass. And that's the first time they tried to go telephoto, and it's a very compromised system they were learning. So the optics...
You're talking about the 2X right now? Did you say?
No, the 2X doesn't
the 5X.
exist. The 2X is not one of the 3 physical holes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that 5X was only 12 megapixels on that physical sensor. So that third hole has a poopier sensor.
Gotcha.
On the 17 Pro, each of the 3 holes leads to 48 megapixels worth of sensor. So you have lenses to 48 megapixels on all 3 holes, but only 2 out of 3 on the previous camera. That's a big upgrade.
Okay. So when you get to the 8X, it's using a 48 megapixel sensor to get to 12 megapixels?
Yes. Now, back up one sec. So physically speaking, the 4X telephoto is the fully native zooming. So they've made it zoom less. So the optics are doing less work. The tetraprism is only going to 4X physically. What they've done is they've added 4 times as many pixels behind the now slightly less zoomy hardware. So when you zoom at 4X, there are 4 physical pixels for everything which in your app will appear as you won't get the full 48 megapixels in your image within the Photos app unless you tell it to use the raw resolution. It won't do that by default. What it will do by default is give you an image where they take 4 physical pixels to 1 virtual pixel for that 4X. So you'll get really nice images because it can take the signal to noise and evaporate it by taking 4 to 1, 4 to 1, 4 to 1. So it's really nice.
So when you're talking about the 4X on the new 17 Pro, starts with 48 megapixels and then takes those every 4 pixels and pulls them together into one, getting edges and color and light and all those good things. Now, I believe in the 16 Pro, I'm trying to bring it up really quickly here, but I believe in the camera app there, you can tell it 12 or 24 megapixels from that 48 megapixels.
Yeah, and it's choosing. So you can tell it what to do or you can let it figure it out itself. And the default is to let it figure it out itself, where it will decide, is there enough light here where we can go all the way to 24 megapixels? Or do we need all the signal to noise we can get? Therefore, we're going to accept 12 instead and do more binning. So have more physical pixels go into 1 virtual pixel.
So you actually choose. You don't have a button that says let it decide. So the default lens says 24 millimeters 1x with a check mark next to it, or you can have a 28, or you can have... No. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. Never mind. Don't listen to what I just said.
Sorry, you were just confusing me there because I thought I understood here.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that 4X is that it's collapsing pixels. It has more pixels than it needs, so it can get signal to noise by combining pixels to get 1 better pixel. The
4X is going to blow the snot out of the 5X on the 16 Pro.
Absolutely, because it has
Got you.
4 times as many pixels, and it's not doing as much of a physical zoom. It's only 4 times instead of 5, so it has less optical work and a way better sensor. So it's going to blow it out of the water at 4x. At 8x, it becomes the same physically as the old 5x. What it's actually doing is it's only using the middle piece of the sensor. And it's using every single pixel in that middle piece because there aren't enough pixels in there to do any binning. So at 8x, it's a
believe it or not,
1-to-1.
Half of 48 is 12.
Because they're
You
squares.
got to get past that, right? Because they're squares. So you're saying they take the 48 megapixels, they take the center 12 megapixels, and
That
so you
is the
don't get
8x.
the advantage of the signal to noise ratio stuff and all the goodness, but you aren't.
You're not making
this
up
is where
data.
they say, yeah.
Because,
No.
okay, so my definition of optical quality is there's at least one physical pixel for every virtual pixel.
Yes.
At least.
Yeah.
And so this
right.
is
So
on the money.
here's where Steve had a question, and I think it's a really good one, is what is the difference between taking a 48 megapixel 4x photo and cropping it to 50% versus taking an 8x photo, which will be 12 megapixels, and taking it from the center?
The difference is the entire image pipeline and all of that machine learning Apple are doing for you. If you can replicate all of Apple's signal processing and you take the raw pixels in both cases, there is no difference. But that Apple Silicon chip is doing amazing work with that raw image between you firing the shutter.
But I am taking all of that. If I take the 4x photo, the entire pipeline is doing all of that magic, taking that 48 megapixel photo. Now I just say, just show me the center.
But it's going to optimize differently, Alison. Its ML has been taught to make different trade-offs depending on what it is it thinks it's trying to get to. If you train a model to have a different intended outcome, it will learn differently. The model is going to optimize to the outcome. So making it do what you trained it to do is better than making it do something else.
I can't wait to explain to Steve. I'm going to go hand wave, machine learning. But that's why it's not the same.
Right, yeah. You have trained the machine to give you the best possible 12 megapixel images. That's different to training it to give you the best possible 48 and then you choosing afterwards. The machine learning is going to make different trade-offs.
Okay. Another question, and I think you said something that makes me need to edit my little table. Is the tetraprism on the 4X or the 8X? Or is that a stupid question because there really only is a 4X camera?
It's one physical hole. So the tetraprism is between the surface of the physical hole and the sensor sitting behind the physical hole. So yes, it's on the 4X and the 8X.
Oh.
Because that's one hole.
Okay. Well, it could have been, well, I don't know. I'm not going to make
it is the same hole. Right? Remember, we have more numbers than holes.
Yes. And Apple says that it's a 56% larger sensor.
Yes. So that means
not only is the 4X and the 8X going to get the advantage of the 48 megapixels versus the telephoto 5X on the 16 Pro, it's also on a much larger sensor, so it's going to be better at light gathering.
Yes, every physical pixel can capture more photons, so it will be better in lower light.
Great. Okay.
By physics.
This was a huge piece of what I wanted to understand. So we'll see if in our time we can answer any other questions. Okay,
I want to give you another really important thing, Alison, that I think is vital to understanding, because the other thing that gets right, so the pixel binning gets you from the 2x, because the main camera is physically 1x, and so the 2x is just the centerpiece of the main camera.
Tell me what pixel binning is.
That's that same thing we've done from 8x to 4x.
So it's taking the center 50%.
Correct. The exact same thing goes 2-to-1. So 8 to 4 is the same as 2-to-1. One physical hole, you're just taking the middle piece of the sensor.
Okay.
So the bit that's different is the macro modes, because Apple are doing a completely different trick to give you the macro modes. They're not, remember, you have one camera app. The camera app tells you it's one camera. Physically, it's 3 cameras, 3 sensors, 3 lenses, but you have one camera app. There's no reason all of the data in your picture has to come from one hole. What if you take information from multiple holes at once to make one photo? That's how the macro works. So Apple have said on stage that they combine information from 2 sensors to get the macro modes. So as best as I can tell, that means the ultra-wide and the main work together for the primary macro mode, and the other macro mode, it must be the telephoto working together with the main to give you that second macro mode. And why you can't do macro at the higher zooms, because there is no other lens to pull from.
So this kind of makes sense. The 17 doesn't have... was it the 17 or the Air? One of them doesn't have macro mode.
Yeah, the Air doesn't have macro. It has one hole.
And it needs... What is it needs in order to build it?
2 holes. Which is why the iPhone the iPhone 17 no fancy bits can do one macro mode because it has 2 holes. 2's enough.
Okay.
And the Air can't because 1 is less than 2.
Gotcha. So the Air can't. The 17, plain 17 can do it, and the 17 Pro can do macro modes. But they can't do as many macro modes?
Right. If you have 2 holes...
What do you mean by multiple macro modes?
So you can use macro at both wide, 0.5, and at least 1 on the iPhone 16. And I'm sure, I don't know for a fact exactly where the second macro mode is on the 17, but you have 2 of them on the 16 Pro. And that you will have 2 of them on the 17 Pro because you can use the first 2 holes together or the second 2 holes together. So you have 2 macro modes. And on the iPhone 17 only has 2 holes, 1 macro mode.
How do you know there's 2 macro modes when you're in this? How will you know that you've got different macro modes? Just
because I can do macro at 0.5 and I can do macro at 1.
Okay, so you've just got the 1X and you get real close to it and you see the little flower come up, you know you've done it. Okay.
Yeah. And if you have 0.5, you can also get the flower. But if you have 4X or 8X or 5X on the current model, you can do whatever you want. The flower ain't coming.
Gotcha. Okay, so maybe this answer is the same on... They've also showed in their little graphic at Apple a 28 millimeter and a 35 millimeter, which is 1.2X and 1.5X. Are those also using multi-cameras to create?
That's not clear. They are using one or both of the pixel binning techniques and or the multi-lens techniques. Apple don't say what they choose to do when. They just tell you that they use multiple sensors for single image and they use pixel binning. Their algorithm seems to choose what to do depending on what gives the best result. So it mightn't you might use the same zoom level in 2 situations, one of them with more light than the other, and the phone may choose a different one of its under-the-hood tools. The reason Apple simplify the interface is because it's deciding on the fly, what do I do based on all that machine learning training?
Okay, well, DP Review refers to it as emulated from main, 28 millimeter and 35 millimeter. So that's fun. What I'm worried about is people are going to look at the options, macro 0.5, 1, 1.2, 1.5, 2, 4, and 8, and they're just going to slide their finger along until the picture's the size they want and stop in between those. And that's bad, right?
I disagree. What Apple does in that situation is it takes physical photographs through multiple holes, as many as it needs, and it combines them together.
So that's not doing some digital zoom creepiness if you're in between. If I stop at 3X,
as long as one of the sensors is big enough, right? As long as you are not at more than 8X, there is at least one physical pixel available between the 3 holes. There is at least one physical pixel somewhere to every virtual pixel. So you're not making up data. As soon as you go beyond 8, the only possible answer based on physics is extrapolation.
Okay, but getting
Interpolation.
to just one, okay, agreed. I understand that. But getting to just at least one physical pixel, that's not as good as getting 4 pixels if I stop at exactly 4x.
Well, more pixels is always better, right? That's fair. But as long as
But
there's at least
4x is
one,
better than
you're at optics.
3x.
Yes, because the signal to noise improvement is an extra quarter better. Yeah, you're right. It's better.
Better to stop on the stops.
Y- Better, but it's not wrong to go in between.
I would feel, it feels from what you've told me it is wrong, that that's a bad place to stop.
No, what you've done is you've made more work. So if you stop on the notches,
Uh-huh.
the phone knows I know exactly how to achieve this end. There is one hole I need to use. If you stop
Okay.
between the notches, it does both. It has twice the work, and then it combines the result of doing it twice. So effectively what it's doing is shooting one too big, one too small, combining them together and giving you the overlap. So you're making it work
Okay,
twice as hard.
Okay, but it's still taking the 4 pixels combined in the 4x.
Yeah. It's doing
Okay.
both and then merging
Will
them
my phone
together to
get
give you
hotter?
the answer. Probably. Your battery should go down quicker, at the very least.
How interesting. Okay, well, I think we could talk about this for a long time, but I promised I'd let you go at the top of the hour, and we have hit the top of the hour.
Well, I'm going to
Is there anything?
sneak in. Yeah, so I'm going to say I
Okay,
am
good.
choosing voluntarily to give you a few more minutes because there's one other trick I think everyone needs to know. So, as well as using one sensor really efficiently by binning pixels and combining multiple sensors into one image, there's a third trick. When you hit the shutter button once, there is no guarantee the shutter on the physical camera fires once. In fact, any time there's a need for a high dynamic range, it fires multiple times. A short one, the one you asked for, and a long one, and it takes the best information. That's how you get the highlights and the shadows without losing either. And if
Hmm.
you're in a macro mode, the physical depth of field is tiny when you get physically close. So it actually takes a photograph you asked it for, maybe 3 of them if it's very dark, and it intentionally focuses too far away and does another 1 or 3. And then it intentionally focuses too close and does another 1 or 3. And then it combines those 3 or 9 to give you the macro with a higher depth of field.
What? Wait, but
It's called,
macro,
you've
you don't
exposure
usually want a
stacking.
high depth of field.
You do, Alison. You think you want it short, but it's not. The physics of it would mean that the depth of field might be 1 millimeter. If you're trying to take a photograph of a coin, like one corner will be in focus, and if you're not perfectly square on, the rest of it's out of focus, you're actually
I always fall for
maximizing the
that.
depth of field. So it's using exposure stacking for dynamic range, so multiple exposures of the same scene, and focus stacking for depth of field.
Jeez.
It's amazing. This is why they talk about the image pipeline and why they talk about the A-series chips being so amazing for the camera. That's done in hardware, not software.
Wow. Well, and it's also doing the HEIC is creating a little video file on the side.
As well. Yes, it's doing all of those tricks. Every time you push the shutter and you see that preview in less than a second, all of that has happened.
I feel a lot better about spending $1,000 on a camera.
Yeah. They're physically limited by the size of the optics. So the optics that are in there are the best they can be for something so tiny. They have like sapphire and all sorts of cool materials in there. That can only get you so far because of physics. The rest of it is computation, signal processing, really high-end signal processing, and cutting-edge machine learning. Apple don't call it AI, but they have been world leaders at this type of AI for decades. It's not large language model talkie, but it's AI, and it's really cutting edge.
That is fascinating. I feel like at this instant in time, I understand what parts my little engineering brain is happy at knowing, and I also, my brain that understands that a lot of this machine learning stuff we can't actually give a definitive answer to. It also answers a question that was bothering me on my walk listening to one of your shows. I was just thinking about why has like Canon not done all of this? And why has Nikon done it? And why hasn't Fuji done all of this? It's like, because this is a company that writes software and designs chips.
Yeah.
And these
That's
other
the
companies
magic.
are not. They're optics companies who have started to learn how to do it, but they haven't been able to catch up.
They buy chips
Wow.
from the same people who make chips for average phones. And Apple engineered the lot from soup to nuts, and they talk to each other. Because they don't have that structure where you have these separate divisions that are silos. They break their company down by what they're trying to build. And so the hardware and the software people are peers. They work together. They're not segregated off.
You know, it'd be really interesting if a camera company ever got together with Apple to combine forces to say, now I'm going to make something with a true 800x optical, or 800 millimeter optical zoom with all of the machine learning from Apple. Wow.
I just imagine buying the best lens from Zeiss with a dock that I click my iPhone into, and instead of the physical light going into Apple's little tiny holes, it goes through that amazing Zeiss hole and into Apple's brain.
Oh, but no, I want it to go into a giant sensor too, and then to Apple's
That's what
brain.
I mean. Yeah, and then into Apple's machine learning pipeline. And it's just
Yeah.
a dock. So you don't buy a phone interface, you just buy the physical lens and sensor and go click. And then your
Yeah.
phone is the UI. That is my dream product.
Yeah.
You
This is
listening?
the first time I've ever had a vision of the future. I've never think of what crazy thing could happen. I feel good about that. That proves I understand what you're saying, I think. And I really appreciate you coming on. I know we jammed a lot in here in just a few minutes, but this was exactly what I was hoping to learn. Thank you so much for coming on.
You are most welcome. And you know I can't resist talking about this regardless of timey-wimey stuff. But anyway, I do have to run out. Thank you for having me on. It's a really fun conversation. I'm glad it was helpful.
All right, very good. Talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Well, it's time to thank some more longtime supporters of the No Silicast, Chit Chat Across the Pond, and Security Bits. For 2021, another tough year for just about everyone, we have Al-Kabob, John, Tony, Bodie, Christian, Tim, and Charles. I do not take for granted how you stepped up when times were tough, and you're still with us. Thank you so much for your support. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond. This is episode number 821 for September 17th, 2025, and I'm your host, Allison Sheridan. This week, our guest is a real throwback for the show. If you've been listening for a very long time, you may remember this guest as creating the best Honda Bob commercial of all time, where he performed it as a Klingon war commander. He's the man who coined the term for his own podcast, Making Technology Work for You. He's brilliant. He's funny. He is, as my father used to say, drilled off center. Please welcome back to the show after close to a decade-long absence, maybe 15 years, we're not sure, the one, the only, Knightwise.
This is an introduction I cannot top, but I am definitely drilled slightly off-center. So thank you for having me, Allison. It's great to be here again.
I thought you'd appreciate that. My dad had several funny sayings like that where he was just... Don't know where they came
drilled
from.
Off center. I want that. Yep. I'm definitely, drilled off
Getting
center.
that printed on a shirt as we speak, right?
Yes. It's not me. I'm drilled off center.
Well, Knightwise and I have stayed in contact over the years, sending texts back and
Yes.
forth here and there. And this week he sent me a message asking for help finding a way to force macOS into letting his client view his MacBook Air's desktop, not speaker notes, but while giving a presentation. I dug around testing some ideas, and I did not succeed in helping him. But when he figured out a solution, he suggested coming on the show to tell us about the kind of creative solutions he comes up with for his clients. So maybe we should start with, what do you mean clients? What is it you do for a living these days?
Well, as I have to explain to like my mom or my grandma, what do you do? I
don't
basically
do that again.
I tell stories. I tell stories for a living. My wife and I run a digital marketing agency where we help companies tell the things online their customers want to hear. And that means any kind of digital storytelling that can be communication support for corporate communication, that can be doing social media support, that can be making podcasts for a living, finally.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm doing 3 at the moment, paid. So that's nice.
Nice.
And one of them is giving trainings where I help customers bring their videos to life. So I had one of my customers who is a brilliant medical professor, who is literally one of the smartest people that I know, ask me, he said, Knightwise, I want to be on camera. I want to record small videos on LinkedIn and make press statements. And I've got a little presentation going there. So I want you to help me succeed in that. And the problems we solved is that these are people that don't have time, as opposed to YouTubers and influencers who do this for core living. This guy wanted to sit in his office, turn on his camera, turn on his microphone, turn on his computer, do a skit of about 3 minutes with slides and everything, make sure it's completely branded, make sure it has the logos, has the lower thirds, everything he wants, and then be able to push 3 buttons and send it to his communication guy in Brussels, who then puts it on the air. And if it's really interesting, it gets on national news. So that was the problem to be solved.
But this isn't what he does for a living. So he doesn't want to learn how to do any of this. He wants to do what he's good at it, and then you do the part you're good at.
And we have to do the part, we have to give him a solution that does the part for him. So we're not there. This was basically a setup of a studio, which we have to let him operate completely autonomously. And he doesn't want to learn the ins and outs. He's very smart. He knows, he actually knows what I'm doing. So that's a relief.
He knows what you're doing.
Yeah, mostly it's like...
he understands it, but he doesn't want to do it or learn how to do it.
Yes. He goes like, this is fine. Can we have a button for that? And can we have a button for that? And what if we write a button for that? So he's really knowledgeable, but he wants to have it just work for him. His studio has to be an appliance. That's
Wait, are you saying he wants technology to work for him?
Maybe he does. And I still use, especially in our company, I still use that line day to day when I talk about digital technology, webcams, social media, what have you. It always comes back to that. It has to work for them.
Yeah, you're the most technology agnostic person I know. If Windows is the right solution, you're going to use it. If Linux is the right solution, if Mac OS is the right solution, if Android, if it's Mac OS, whatever it is, it's a Raspberry Pi, whatever. You don't seem to have a religious attachment. Well, maybe to Linux, but it's not. You're not monogamous.
No, I am a polyamorous technologist. Yeah. If it's a brick on a stick, I'll use it. I mean, it's fine. I don't have. I have to say, and this is mostly thanks to you, that when it comes to the corporate stuff that we do, the everyday stuff that we do for a company, it's Mac all the way.
Okay.
My wife's a photographer, and just because of the joy of the ecosystem, it's Mac all the way. Back end is Linux, file servers, anything running AI locally, video converters is Linux, and Windows is really starting to go back because take a step back because I'm not working for big corporations anymore.
Okay, although so you're not having to integrate with their big systems or anything.
Yeah, but I do have to use stuff like PowerPoint, which I despise. Yes.
I don't know.
Yes,
I personally don't think the Keynote's that much better. I think they're both an abomination to communication, personally.
Yeah. I give speaker training on how to make slides that don't put people to sleep or in a coma, or make them pass the exam to become an airline pilot. With really small print.
We should have a whole conversation about that, because I just did a presentation for MacStock where I set the goal of having no words on any of my charts. And the only chart that had words on it was to show you how stupid it was. It was to illustrate a point of don't do this.
I love it when, there goes my camera. I love it when I get a call from, let's say, a customer of ours who asks, can we have your slides? And I just send them like 85 slides with just images. because that's how I do a talk. That
Yeah.
the slides are the background and I am the main character. Because if what's written on your slide is in your presentation, one of you
Is redundant.
Yeah. And only one of you can be shoved into an email attachment. So go figure.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so the particular problem we were playing with here was whether it's Keynote or PowerPoint, doesn't matter. When you go into presentation mode, your external display will show the presentation and your internal display shows the speaker notes. But if you have a MacBook Air, you can only support one external display, which means you can't have a display showing you your desktop where you're looking at something else. Maybe you have other materials you need to be looking at. And I understand there's a way to add a capture card and some things and there is a way to add a second display, external display to a MacBook Air, and maybe the newer ones can natively. But anyway, this particular MacBook Air could only support one internal, one external. So how did you end up solving that?
Well, I'll iterate the why. What the classic presentation, when you have to start presentation, that is to me what I call presenting in the blind. Because you might be able to see your speaker notes and you might be able to see your screen, but you don't see what's going on. Now, a lot of stuff that we do when we work with presenters doing presentations is that we capture them on a live stream.
Okay.
So, or we present our own material or stuff like that. So we always need to see that screen. Now, in the case of this customer, of the professor, as I shall call him, we were working with OBS.
And tell people what OBS is in case they don't know.
If you're not married, consider engaging yourself, buying a big ring and trying to marry OBS. OBS is a software solution. It's free, it's open source, and it's basically the closest that you can come to making television on your own. It is a magnificent piece of software that has gotten me through Corona, that has helped me broadcast live speakers from 4 different countries over a connection, over an internet connection, adding in live speakers in the room, audio from audiences, videos, complete television productions run from your computer. What it basically does is think of it as PowerPoint, but with video.
Wait, so I hate it?
Yeah.
Is where you want me to start?
No, but think of it as a presentation software, but with video. You can put in different scenes with different video sources, and you can add graphics in front of it or on the back of it. So, like the morning show, and then this little bar comes on with the guy's name and stuff. And this little nice widget that would say pod feed in the lower upper corner. That's all of that you can add into either a recording or a live stream. And this is what the professor is using. He's basically using different scenes to make his presentations more interesting. And that's why he needs OBS.
Okay, so there's other paid-for tools that do what you're describing, but OBS is free and open source, which is kind of where your starting point is there. You have to prove to me that I can't do this with an open source solution before going to something paid. Would that be a good way to describe it?
Yes, and I have to say I've been pushing the edges of OBS for about 5 years now, and I haven't reached them yet.
Wow.
I've talked to colleagues of mine who had expensive mixing studios and saw me come in with my little laptop and a couple of webcams, and they went like, and then they saw me open up and they went like, we can't do that. I said, yes, OBS can.
Interesting.
So to tell you why he uses this, he captures his presentation slides and he captures his webcam.
Sure.
But instead of putting them in this 80-20, he in the little square and the presentation's big, he can put them 50-50 with his nice logo on the back and nice brands, and he can switch to 80-40, and he can switch to full screen.
That's a new one.
Yeah, 80-20,
60-40.
80-20, 60-40.
You can get more than 100% with OBS.
The interesting part why we do this is to keep your audience awake. If they have to stare at the same slide for 3 minutes straight, they're bored. So what you do is you switch up the scenes. You switch up the aspect ratio and you put some nice colors around it and you make it really like television. And by switching around, you keep your audience entertained. And that's why he uses OBS. And that's why he needs to see what OBS is actually recording for him.
Okay.
And that was a problem.
So like I said, there are tools that can do this, but with OBS, it's nice. I do free, which is awesome and sounds highly capable.
And cross-platform.
On cross-platform, there you go.
Absolutely. On Silicon Mac.
Okay. So
Intel Mac, Silicon Mac, everywhere.
Wait, until Apple Silicon, it was everywhere?
Everywhere. It's native on Silicon. It's Intel Mac for the ones that are still there. It's on Windows. It's on Linux. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he needs to be able to see OBS while he's doing this. And
there's the kicker.
Doing a presentation, once you're in presentation mode, you're screwed. You can't look at it. Okay.
Ta-da. Yeah. So he's presenting in the blind. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
So it's like, and we can't add a third monitor because he has a MacBook Air.
Right.
So we needed to add a monitor to show a presentation that he doesn't want to see.
Well, because if he can see it on OBS. So he knows where he is.
So we needed to create a third monitor that Apple didn't allow us to hook up and that physically didn't exist, but we did need to capture the output of that monitor and put it back into OBS. So it's a scene again.
And one of the things I thought might work was I've talked to my audience about the HDMI virtual display plugs. Just a little it looks like a USB thumb drive, but it's an HDMI thing, and you stick it in and it gives you a virtual display. And I thought, okay, well, what if he had the presentation go there and then as an extended desktop, it goes to this fake display and then he could do everything, but it's a display. And the MacBook Air goes, nope, you've used up your external displays. You're done.
No. Yes.
I was like, of course, that didn't work. And then
because I dragged in everything. I brought in a USB display. Didn't want. I want an HDMI display. Nothing. We tried. It works. It's just like one external display. That's it. So that was the challenge to actually display a full screen display or capture a full screen display that wasn't there.
Right. Virtual or not, it has to be literally not connected to this machine.
Literally non-existent. So because
I feel like NDI is going to come into this topic at some point.
No. Okay. No. We had to just, there is a solution. Because by now people who use PowerPoint are screaming, you can present in windowed mode. Yes, you can. You can tell PowerPoint not to present full screen, but present the slides in a framed window.
That looks terrible.
It does, and it's unkind words. It's a blur if you need to do it.
Abomination.
Abomination. Yeah, it's a B word as well. It's an abomination when you have to do it because when the customer should resize that window and you're capturing that window on a certain resolution, OBS is going to display it all out of whack.
Sure.
Because you tell OBS, capture this display or capture this window at this resolution. So
can you have it capture an area? So like capture, like you don't want to see the chrome around the window, right? You just want to see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
You capture the window and then in OBS, you just, cross out the bars.
So
you
super
crop out
fiddly.
the bars. It's surprisingly easy to use, but once the resolution of that window changes, it's all out of whack in OBS. So again,
so you have to set it up
stable.
again every time you do it.
Yeah. And I'm not getting, this guy records at at 3:30 in the morning. Because
you don't want that
my
call.
Brain works. I don't want that call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I wanted something really stable. So I went like, let freaking PowerPoint do its thing. Just send it to a display that doesn't exist, and then tell OBS to go fetch that display and paste it into the mix.
So how do you get it to talk to a display that doesn't exist? What do you tell it?
You tell it to capture a display. The only thing you need to do is trick your Mac into having a third display.
And how do you
And
do that?
Better Display Tool.
Oh,
Better Display Tool is the solution. It's a free. I am one stingy bloke. It's on the App Store. It's free, and it allows you more control over your monitors. You can set different resolutions. You can adjust brightness of external displays separately from those of your main display. So if you crank up the light on the main display, the external display doesn't blind you, so you can control the brightness on external displays and the internal separately.
Hang on. I'm not finding Better Display Tool in the Mac App Store. So let's make sure we get the name of it right.
No.
Or is it only available in Europe?
No.
Or it's all one word?
Oh, God, that would be so me that I would actually forget the name of the application that I want to talk about. Better Display. That's the name. It's also available on the Mac App Store. Better Display Pro.
Better Display Pro. Let's see. Nope.
And
Better
then
Display. How about no Pro? Display menu? Are you hallucinating again?
It says here, download the Mac. Oh, sorry. I have. It's not on the App Store, so
it's on GitHub.
It's on GitHub.
Even
of course,
better
because it's free and open source.
Way dabber. Better Display.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. Sorry, it's not on the. I was thinking of different application.
And Better Display is one word for those who are playing along with our home game.
Yes. Sorry to send you on a wild goose chase there, but it's free. It's available on GitHub. It's open source actually, and it's absolutely brilliant. So it has these fancy features to make your external displays do funky things, which I like because I've got one of those square-ish LG displays, the ones that are I really love them, but I have to set my resolution a little lower because otherwise I can't see. I'm starting to age gently.
I was talking. Knightwise has always kidded me about being older than him, and I was telling him that he is now the age now that I was when we last met. So I love it. Yes. I love it.
So for my 50th birthday, I've downgraded myself one step of scaling. So I went up from 125 to 150.
Okay.
In scaling on I went like really. So Better Display Tool does this. That's why I used it. And then suddenly I saw this feature that says add virtual display. And there you go.
So you just tell it there's a display. Yeah. I'm going to try to do this while we're recording, right?
Of course. You'll just, send everything out of whack, but you won't be able to disturb the space-time continuum. That's be fine. And sure, mess with the core kernel of Mac OS as you're doing a recording. It wouldn't be fun otherwise.
Right. Now I'm gonna give Waydabber a downward thumb for one thing. The reason you thought it was in the Mac App Store is that they have used the graphic for the Mac App Store.
Yes.
So they are being very misleading. That's actually the download button, and I'm not fond of that.
Yes, it was not. That's my mistake. That's why I thought it was there.
Right.
And when I clicked it, I saw it was, there it is again. So yeah. So that's the, but
that's okay. I can, because it's in GitHub, I can file an enhancement request.
Yes. Use the right button. Do not use misleading advertising.
Right. Okay. So you tell it to create a display and it just makes one up. Do you get to name it whatever you want?
Yep, it makes one up. You can even give it arrange it in your
of course
your
you'd have
system
to.
preferences.
It displays. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Do you have to turn off any security stuff to use this thing?
I think that it does ask for the security settings, but I think it really not a lot.
No, but it doesn't ask you to downgrade in that I forget what it's called, that thing where you have to boot into safe mode or into
no, just go right ahead.
Okay.
No. It just
I'm sure it asks for permissions. It looks like it's in active development too, because their screenshots are showing liquid glass.
Yes. This is the third upgrade that I've already done on the machines that I have it running on.
Nice.
And And then the next part's easy. You just go to PowerPoint and you go to the settings and you say like, hey, yeah, that fancy display where you want to put those slides. Yeah, that's the virtual display. So it pumps out the slides in presentation mode to a display that doesn't exist. And then you just tell OBS, by the way, the slides are over here. And then boom, it works.
So then on his MacBook Air, he's still seeing the speaker notes, but he can have a physical secondary display where he can see OBS?
OBS, yes.
Oh,
and because the speaker
genius.
notes are enough, it's you know, I mean, I have taught this man not to put too many words on a slide, although he is from the medical profession, and those guys are really hard to
train,
to persuade. Yeah, yeah. I told him, I said, like, you have anesthetist, oh God, the guys that put people to sleep.
Anesthesiologist.
Yeah, you don't need these slides. You have anesthesiologists. And then he laughed and then he changed and then he started listening to me. So
there's a book you can send him, The Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. That's where I learned it. Because that's what Steve Jobs would do. He would put a single graphic up and nobody could argue that he was a great presenter.
And he had black backgrounds and white letters. So the audience wasn't blind.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I call this interrogation slides. So just, put a white light on them, small print, and ask if they're tired after 50 minutes.
I am going to give you a hot tip, though, on screen brightness. The higher the brightness of your screen, the smaller your pupils become. And when your pupils become smaller, ask your wife about photography, you get a deeper depth of field. So it's easier to focus on a bright screen than it is on a dark screen.
Oh.
May give you a headache, but, I don't, depending.
That's okay.
I know it bothers some people, and I'm not saying you should do it if it bothers you, but it does. That's the way I found out I was losing my close vision was I couldn't see at work. And I realized when I got home, I've got Apple displays, which are super bright. And I had this hideous HP laptop that was super dim. And that's why I couldn't see because my pupils weren't contracting. So I rotated my desk so I was facing the window instead. And then my pupils contracted and I was able to see better.
That's brilliant.
Old people hack.
Yeah. All right. I have to remember that one. The reason that we use dark letters, we try to use dark backgrounds and small letters is because most of the presentations that we give are online. And then it's fatiguing if you have to look at it a long time, especially when, it's like the same words every time. And you can, brand it, and why not use your company colors if they're not like, I don't know, fuchsia green or something. You can make it nice. And I regularly use the famous Steve Jobs slide, him standing in a dark
turtleneck,
his dark shirt and his dark turtleneck in front of a black background and white letters. And for the longest time, I said the only thing he shouldn't have worn is a dark turtleneck, but actually he did, because then his head would stick out,
would pop,
and he would pop out, and he would take up as little attention as possible and have a maximum focus on what's on the screen. It's a brilliant man.
Well, that's what I'm wondering about. Talking heads on a slide are sometimes distracting. They do keep me awake. So you are achieving that objective, but a lot of times I'm like, well, you're not really adding anything by me seeing your face.
And that's the thing why we switch it around. Then we go to like slides big and the speaker small. What I mostly do when I do live directing, I control OBS real time, just like my client does, is like when you start on the slide, you show it 80-20. Slide big, speaker small.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after 30 seconds, everybody's kind of read what's there. We go 50-50. So the speaker is like the same size, and it becomes more interesting.
Because at that point, you don't need to read the slides at all.
There you go.
Let's look at the person who's gesticulating with excitement about anesthesiology.
Yeah, and then he starts getting angry or excited or I don't know, and he wants to make a point. And then I pull the slide back to 20%. I put the speaker on 80%.
So is he doing that as he's given the presentation?
He's doing that live as he's giving the presentation. I'll show.
This guy's a multiplexer.
No. This guy has the right technology. I have given him an Elgato Stream Deck.
Okay. I'm looking at mine right here.
Oh, yeah, because an Elgato Stream Deck can be perfectly paired with OBS.
Okay.
So all the 3 scenes that he uses are on his Elgato Stream Deck, and he knows it by touch. This is full screen. This is 80/20. This is 50/50. So, when he's talking, he just goes like, yeah, you've seen the slide, 50/50, blah, 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 80/20, blah, 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 main full screen. So
but
he
he's
does
got to
it
be doing
by
that in his
touch.
head at the same time that he's conveying all this information. That's why I was talking about
Yes.
him being in a multiplexer, that he's doing the
Yes.
switching at the same time. Huh.
Yep, yep. And we also put 2 buttons there to advance and go back a slide, also on his Stream Deck. So he has
Okay.
one hand on his Stream Deck, which is off center,
Mhm.
and he has 3 buttons for his scenes and 2 buttons for next slide, previous slide, and that way with just one hand, he can control the entire show.
Nice. Nice.
And
This gets me into thinking about what else OBS can do. Steve and I do my live show using StreamYard, and we're
Yeah.
too cheap to pay for it, so we're using the free version, and you've got some limited scenes you can do. So Steve does a big screen, say, of maybe Hindenburg while I'm doing my audio recording. And yes, my
Mhm.
digital audio recording software is named after a ship that blew up. An airship that blew up.
Mhm.
There's a reason for that, but then he'll have like a little picture of me and him next to it, or it'll be
Yep.
the chat room with me and him, or I'm talking, it's just me, and so he flips between those two. But he's really restricted to the scenes that are created in StreamYard. Can you take something like OBS? Could he run that locally on his Mac? Take my video input somehow. I'm sure NDI would be
Yeah.
involved. By the way, audience, I keep saying NDI. For the life of me, I don't know what it is. I think it's a protocol, a video protocol. That's all I know.
Yes.
And it
yes.
allows you to
It's
send
like-
things on the
yeah.
same network, video on the same
Yes.
network. Is that a good description?
Yes, it's like the best description that I once got was a digital HDMI cable.
Okay, so it's as though I have an HDMI cable from my from my computer into his, or
Yep. Over the network.
over
Yeah,
the network.
it's a-
Okay, local
Yeah,
area
it's
network.
a UDP. Yeah. Get me back on the show and I shall disclose you the secrets of Video Ninja, and then I'll completely blow your mind.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, I'd have
yes,
you on
yes.
every week if I could. You know that.
But these are all things that we found out during Corona, where we were doing live streams and presentations and talks, and we got more and more requests like, we need this, we need that. So I started out with like simple scenes. The biggest production that I did was 82 different scenes, where I have a scene where there's a stinger video. I have a scene where there's a remote speaker who is on Curacao and the local speaker in the room side by side. Then I would put in a third element on that. It's like, it's like a PowerPoint slide, basically, or a Keynote slide. You can just put stuff on and in front of, behind each other. So you can really do exciting things with it. You can build as many scenes as you want. You can get a whole lot of sources in there. You can put cameras in there. By the way, the camera that this person uses, the professor, is his iPhone.
Oh,
He
okay,
uses the
great.
Yeah. He does use an external microphone, which is plugged in as a USB source. So you can put that in. You can put external sources in, NDI. You can capture a web page in real time. Put that in. You can, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that you can put in there. And then you can record it. You can record it in audio. You can record it in video. You can record multi-stream audio if you want to. So like, record speaker on track 1 and record yourself on track 2. And then you can either record it locally, use it, here comes the crazy part, use it as a virtual webcam. So your entire spiel
Okay,
gets
wait.
sent back in.
Now we're in a hole in the space-time continuum, right?
Yeah.
So you can shove it back into like a StreamYard?
Oh, this is so fun. You can shove it into like, it becomes a virtual webcam. So you can shove it into StreamYard. You can shove it into Discord. You can shove it into Slack and have all of your fancy scenes on there. So imagine my fun during Corona when everybody was like just happy to have his, I'm on camera, I'm fine. And I had like animations and lower thirds and branded stuff. And people were like, how do you do that? And I was like, that's my secret. So yeah.
Pay me,
Or
I'll tell
of
you.
course, yeah, you can use it to stream. So
This is
directly.
a hill I have climbed many, 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 many times over the decades that OBS has been around, and I try it and I get all excited and then I can't figure it out and I give up. That's been my I mean, the logo's the same, maybe fancier than it used to be. Maybe it's easier to understand, or maybe there's more videos out there to teach me how to use it, but I keep wondering when is going to be the time that I actually get it.
Think of OBS as sources, which are input sources, which are the ingredients of your recipe.
Mhm.
And every scene is a new combination of your sources. And you walk through different scenes to make different combinations of audio and video that you want to show. And in the end, that comes out of OBS. That's
Makes sense.
the basic logic. Yeah.
And I have used tools like that before. But we got into this thing where, well, the tool we were using was really complicated. I think I still have in my drawer here. I kept it for posterity. I've got like a 70-page document where I screenshotted everything so that whenever anything went wrong, I could flip it open and I'd sit there live on the show going, okay, there it is. It's step 38B is where I need to change this to that and get it to work again. So we got kind of weary of the fiddly bits. And
That's
now
it.
we don't have the flexibility anymore, but it's real uncomplicated. You know, Steve has 3 buttons and he doesn't like the
Yeah.
layout of any of them, but they're consistent. He doesn't have to do any work, but
And that's it. I mean, I come back to my to my anthem, let technology work for you, especially when it comes down to business situations where either people don't have the time or we're doing it in a production environment. I'm doing a webinar where I have 5 speakers on the Caribbean and 8 speakers in Rotterdam, and I've got people in the room. So I have to take care of amplification, and I've got like 6 microphones and 4 webcams going in, and the people in the Caribbean are notoriously late and laid back.
they're all
And
hang loose, dude.
yeah, man, tomorrow. So I mix all that together in OBS and I send it out to a live stream. So it has to work and it has to be simple, but it's an amazing approach. The downside when you hit YouTube, when you hit the research channels, they all make it extremely complicated because they want to see all of the functionalities. You just have to, making it complicated is easy. Making it easy, that's the challenge.
That's the trick, right?
That's the trick.
Well, that's inspiring to want to do that again. Are there any other cool, tricky things you want to tell us that you've been doing?
I gotta think. What crazy stuff have we been up to? On a weekly basis, this is not done with OBS because we do it in post. On a monthly basis, we record about 3 podcasts where we have a 3 or 4 camera setup. Got guests and me as a moderator, and my wife does either the live mix of between the different cameras, or we just pull it what we call in post, where we just pull in all of the sources and let AI do its thing.
Really?
Yes.
What video editing tool is she using?
DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's it took me a while to learn, but just to give you an idea where the real power of AI lies when it comes to working professionally with it. When I got in a recording that was not cut, so that was not cut live. So I got 3 camera tracks, I've got speakers, and it's an hour-long conversation. I did the cutting between camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. I did that live.
Mm-hmm.
So I counted it, and it was 723 switches to keep it interesting.
Okay. How boring was it that it required 700 switches to keep it interesting?
Basically, you've got 3 speakers on a
so you're switching between the people? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're switching between the people. So 723 switches. It took me 3.5 hours. Now I just let DaVinci Resolve take a look at whose mouth is moving, and that's where you have to point the camera. Go AI, and it takes 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Am I right in remembering DaVinci Resolve is from Blackmagic Design, and there's a free version?
There is a free version. Some of the AI tools are in there. I purchased the professional version. I paid €300. I've got one of these little fancy jog dial mixers that make me feel like, your uncle's video recording geek back in the days. And I only paid once, just like Final Cut, and it's a magnificent piece of software.
Very cool.
But with the free version, you can do a lot. And if you are using an M4 an M4 iPad, and you really want to put that thing through its paces, the version that you buy or that you get for free on the M4 iPads is, when you tweak it, one-on-one the professional version you've got on the Mac.
Really?
Yes, they just disabled a lot of the menus to keep it simple, but it's an incredibly
But it can do everything
powerful piece of software.
that you can on the Mac.
If this thing hits, if iOS 26 hits, this is the first thing that I'm trying. I'm going to try a production on my iPad
Straight
Pro.
from the iPad. Now, it has to be the
Straight from the
M4
iPad.
or
No, it doesn't have to be the M4. It has to be an
Apple
M,
Silicon.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you bought that fancy M4 and it basically is idling all day and you should do something. DaVinci Resolve was the first thing that I really put through its paces. And it's not like video editing because you're insane, but because it actually kind of works.
Oh, okay. Well, that's got to be the most interesting thing there too. Well, this has been really fun, Knightwise, and I knew it would be, and I knew it would be fun to hear what kind of nutty things you're doing. If people wanted to know more about what you do, is there some online presence way that they should look for you?
I shall disclose my secret identity if they need to do that.
Ooh, there we go. His name is not Knightwise.
No. And every time I say my real name, every geeky friend I have goes like, "That's wrong. We can't call."
I know what it is. I will never be able to call you it. It just doesn't sound right.
So for the geeky stuff, when I have the time, I try to do stuff on Knightwise.com. That's KNIGHTWISE.com. I try to do a new podcast once in a while. I try to write once in a while, but I get swamped by life. And that's the downside of turning your hobby into your profession, is that your hobby is just one more project that you don't get paid for. So you kind of, schedule that. And for my professional parts, I am the co-owner of The Rangers, and that's spelled in Flemish. So it's DE Rangers.be. You can
BE,
find
as in Belgium.
BE, Belgium. De Rangers.be. So The Rangers, but then in Dutch. And we do, you can find the crazy stuff I do there on LinkedIn. So you have to Google Joe Hendricks, which I know doesn't sound right.
Joe Hendricks on LinkedIn. Oh, I thought it was Yo.
Joe, Yo. Yeah, but Americans go really crazy, like, what? Yo? Yeah, so it's J-O Hendricks, Hendriks. And then you see the crazy stuff that I do over there.
Wait, there's no C?
There is no C.
Look at that.
I don't sound like a burning circuit board. And there's like a CKXS. No, it's just KS. So it's
One of the fun things about Knightwise that the audience may not know is he's translating through like 8 languages in his head right now, from Dutch, Flemish. Wait, those aren't the same thing, right?
Those are not the same.
And English, and I think you've got French in there, maybe a little German.
French and German. Yeah. So I always have to, especially these days, American English and English, where I really have to, you don't have glasses on, you have eyeglasses.
Oh.
You don't have a wastebasket, you have a paper wastebasket. So I have to pick the right words.
Well, Bart always says bin.
Yeah, but use a paper wastebasket.
Well, why don't you
say eyeglasses? Yeah, because you can't. You should the need occur to put them anywhere else. It's easy to say, "Oh yeah, eyeglasses." Yeah,
right. Not the glass for your gin or your bourbon. It's totally different kind of glasses, right? Why don't you sign off in the language of your choice, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Oh damn, that's gonna be hard. I'll put on. You've got like 5 Belgian listeners anyway, so they can do that. I'll do my outro in Dutch.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me try. I'm at radio voice here. Laat technologie voor jou werken in plaats van andersom. Luister naar podfeed.com. Een podcast met een klein beetje voorliefde voor de Mac. So that's your stuff that's your closing scene in Dutch.
I love it. I love it. Well, talk to you again soon. This was fantastic. I would love to have you back.
It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm always ready to come on if you need me.
Well, how fun was that to have Knightwise back after all these years? I had a blast, and I hope he does come back again soon. But that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me? I bet you did know, but I bet you forgot the address. It's Allison@podfeet.com. If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. Now remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You want to follow me on Mastodon? podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, podfeet.com/YouTube. Want to join the conversation? Join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon, like Al Kebab, John, Tony, Bodie, Christian, Tim, and Charles. Or if you prefer to make your own schedule for how to donate, you can go to podfeet.com/donate with Apple Pay or any credit card. Or you could do PayPal if you like that. Where do you think it is? podfeet.com/PayPal. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, we will be back next week, whatever that date is, the week from the 21st, probably the 28th. Anyway, if you want to join the fun of that live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic No Silicastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.